I didn't, oh man, it just blew me away when I heard this. And I think it was Ingham that did some studies with some of her undergrads that found out that there was a lot of stuff that was going on under the snow in terms of the transaction, the microbiome, and they're communicating. So you have this web even beyond just the network of roots. There's a network of fungi. And if you have the right mycorrhizae system of fungal, is that those fungi becomes tubes for storage of water. And then during the drought, it'll release that water to the plant. So there's a lot of communication going on. So when you grow like trees, somebody mentioned growing trees, always have companion trees with it, or companion plants. They're communicating. Fruit trees especially, they need each other. So there's a communication going on through the fungi network, like the cell phones, They're communicating with one another and transitioning the minerals and the deficits that one plant might have and the other can that's why it's called a companion plant. Where were we? You don't like my circles?
No, I like that.
Let me do this. Okay. Okay.
You just got like
So this is our sort of core values. Water is sacred, Father Sky. Holding soil sacred, which is Mother Earth. Reconnecting with the microbes, the kincentric relationship with the fungi and all that connect. Honoring the microbes. How do you guys honor one another? Hey, come on over, have coffee, right? Let's have a birthday party. Let's honor that guy's birthday, even though he's an old guy. Polyculture, maximizing diversity, mimicking, somebody said mimicking nature, imitating it with animals, adjusting the patterns. There's certain patterns that animals have, the intelligence. And then the cosmology, all for the land. And it focuses our energy. We do not grow plants. We do not grow vegetables. The Creator does, right? We just are concentrating our energy in the garden, and our energy has to be positive. If it's negative, it's going to repel. Even in the water molecules, are you going to have a water molecule thing? Okay, you should.
so much.
Okay, what happens with the water molecules, this biotic pump that's disrupted in Albuquerque, in Grants, in Gallup, all up in where the bean fields are, is we lived in a brittle environment, and because we were so extractive, the environment is saying to us, I can't hold the capacity anymore. I can't hold the water anymore. So what happens is, when you get desertified land, the sun hits it, it heats up, and you create this thermal dome. It's not just carbon credits or carbon counts. It's because we don't have the green sponge, and it doesn't create, and when the molecules, when plants transpire, I wish I had images. We have a puppet show on all this. When the plants transpire, it has a certain bacteria, and it floats up into the atmosphere, hits the water molecules, and they say to the water molecule, hey, come on over, my buddy. I've got the good positive charges. Come on over. And so all the hydrogen molecules start attracting these bacteria through the transpiration, attaches itself, and it turns into raindrops. But guess what? When you have dust particles, it repels it. So it's really important to do cover crops, to lower the temperature of your soil, to moderate it. And if you can moderate it by the highs and lows, you'll see the response. Your garden will go robust. What I would say in Albuquerque and Las Cruces is that we've got too much heat. So the plants are having to experience this high heat what I would do is cover it with, what do you call it? Shade cloth? You can get them on Amazon. Besides, we're supporting Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So you cover it, so you moderate the highs, and it also drops, the temperature drops too, huh? The plants are dealing with this psychotic, manic, depressive environment. And once you moderate that, what you have is just robust plants. You'll see a lot of the pictures that we showed is that when we put the cover over it, you see the response.
Yeah, we're just going to start a little bit on making compost, and we're going to just go through a few basic slides here because this afternoon we'll be doing a lot with it, so we'll be explaining it a lot more. But this is the first year we use compost. I was telling you earlier I was struggling, and then when we used compost, the plants just went absolutely crazy.
And that's kale right there, which is for good soil. You see the cabbages. And the word humus actually comes from the word humility. I thought it was really interesting when I started researching that.
This is just how we first started, just collecting all kinds of materials, putting it in a bin. But what we I don't know, what we were finding out though, is it wasn't getting a lot of air, so at the bottom it was getting really smelly and stuff. So this is but this is a good way to start. Just start collecting stuff, you know, that's around that comes in season. Keep it as local as you can.
So this is, somebody threw away a satellite dish, and I call it the cereal bowl. And I was just learning how to compost, and when you have smelly compost, which I think we're dealing with over here with the food, and if you're dealing with food, make sure you put a lot of carbon in there, which is like straw. We'll go over all that. But I was putting manure in there, and the bottom part was starting to do some anaerobic stuff. And anaerobic is without oxygen. Aerobic is with oxygen. So keep those two things in mind, is that you have one of the best instruments with your nose. When you smell good compost, you'll actually get high. It'll hit all the endorphins inside your brain. For some reason, human beings, well, it's biblical too, right? We're from the earth. For some reason, human beings are really closely connected to soil. No other animal, when they smell the rain and the soil, it's like through the vent now, you know, through the car vents, there's a relationship there. It's that biology that's going on, and that spiritual relationship of where we came from and where we're going, right? So this is my first experiment. I did a lot of mistakes, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, but it's learning through observation. I think if you were doing reductionist, you know, thinking, you wouldn't do this again because you made a mistake. You scratched this whole experiment, right? But this became a really good learning tool for me. And guess what those leaves are? Yeah. Why did I put oak leaves in there? Remember I said one word? We're highly...
Acidic.
No. Get away from that. Don't even go down that path. I know you've been taught that. That's fungal and bacteria. The microbes will take care of the acidity. That's their job. They'll balance it. Nature will balance it. This is oak leaves, and it's highly fungal material. And when I started putting in the balance on my fungi to bacteria ratio, oh man, things started getting robust. You can grow mushrooms. In fact, it rained during the monsoons, and it was just covered with mushrooms, because there was some stuff that was going on that I was doing through my mistakes. I used sage in some of this compost. Guess what? Sage is antibacterial. I use oranges. Don't use oranges. It's antibacterial. What else? Don't use cedar wood. Make sure you If you get a whole dump of wood chips, process it, meaning let it sit out, you know. The way we do with pine is we smell it, and if it smells piney, it still has that lacquer, which is antibacterial. Let it sit out until it doesn't smell piney, and then put it on your compost. So there's a lot of things that we learn from these mistakes. And I think I put a lot of sage in there, and it just, things wouldn't grow because it was antibacterial. And that's one of the reasons why it's really good for medicinal, you know, purposes, for the sweat lodge and some other things. By the way, that was our pharmaceutical, was the sweat lodge. Detoxify our bodies, and then close it with something cold so that our system is healthy.
Are those pine needles you have in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're okay?
because
Oh,
they
yeah,
don't smell.
yeah.
You smell them.
Yep.
And if they don't smell, they're fine.
Okay, they don't smell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pine duff, this is what I learned about pine needles and pine duff. It has a different fungi than what you would plant in produce. A lot of berries and strawberries do well with pine duff, like pine needles, because that's that symbiotic relationship in the forest. You know, that's where a lot of strawberries come from.
What about pecan? I've heard pecan leaves and shells are not good.
Yeah, it's really good for biochar. Have you heard of biochar?
No, I have a big pecan tree in my yard.
Yeah.
I don't put the leaves in the
Well, that's really interesting. Let me research that, because
later.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, because willows and some of those things are really popular. Some of the, what is it, Chinese elm. By the way, you got such a harvest out here. Did you know that? Right now, you can pick those flowers and eat them, and they're like popcorn. It tastes really sweet. We should try some when we're out there. And it's like a rag tree around here, right? It grows everywhere. Yeah, it gets into the